Hi, fans of high-quality entertainment. This is my first video of 2026, and Happy New Year to everyone out there. So my members, and thank you, I've got some new members. I've got 14 now, so thank you very much. They see this New Year's Day, and then it goes public tomorrow. And also today I'm doing a live chat at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is kind of probably not the most exciting idea, but just still, I think it's kind of fun if some of my viewers want to play along. You know, when I think of the alphabet, you know, A, B, C, D, because I'm so obsessed with music, I always think, you know, A, B, C, D. For instance, with D, I think of, you know, The Doors. F, I think of Fleetwood Mac. You know, it's whatever band comes to my mind first. And so I thought I would go through the alphabet, and with each letter, the very first artist that I think of, the solo artist or band, I write it down. I've already written it down. And then I think of another artist with that letter that I don't have in my CD collection, and maybe I've never had in my CD collection. Just, you know, another way to talk about music, I guess. So here we go, the alphabet. So with A, I usually think of AC/DC or Alice Cooper. So Alice Cooper. And a band I've actually never had in my collection. You know, I don't have anything against them. It's just their music doesn't excite me enough to warrant buying it. It is the Allman Brothers Band. B. Guess what band I think of first when I think of B? That's right, the Beatles. Although, you know, the Bee Gees, Black Sabbath, Blind Faith, Bad Company, so on. And a band I don't have in my CD collection, I never have had in my collection, and I don't even know if I've really heard very much of their music, but the band I've picked is Barclay James Harvest. They're kind of known as like a moody blues type of band, I guess. C. It could be Elvis Costello, you know, the last name Costello for a solo artist. But I always think of, one of the first bands I think of is Creedence Clearwater Revival. I love them. I have all of their albums. And a band that I have had in my collection, but not at the moment, and I really do like them a lot, is The Cure. All right, D. My new favorite artist in the past few months, Donovan. I was playing more of his albums last night. 70s, like some of his 70s albums, and I think they're as good as the 60s ones. I was really getting into his, you know, his later albums last night. And a solo artist / band that I've never had in my collection, really no interest, but I've chosen Dio, as in Ronnie James Dio. For E, Electric Light Orchestra. And for a band that I did have in my collection back in the vinyl days, but I think they're one of the most, you know, when I think of a really popular band that I just, overall, have never really gotten into, I would have to say Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I do like Brain Salad Surgery, but other than that, they never, and the song Lucky Man, but besides that, they never really interested me that much. For F, I had some difficulty until I remembered, oh yes, I've got a band that starts with F, but I have them in S under Sparks, and that's FFS. which is Franz Ferdinand, when they did a collaboration with Sparks. Excellent album. And a band I've never had in my collection, but I've heard on Patreon, I've heard some songs, and I think they are a band I would really like, and it is The Fall. My kind of music, crazy. For G, Grand Funk Railroad, and a band under G that I've never had in my collection, and they have a new album coming out soon, and there's a certain band that plays on one of the songs called Sparks. So I just might be buying my first Gorillaz album in the near future. For H, Humble Pie. And for a band that I did have in my collection in the vinyl days, but no interest in them. I did like some of their early albums, but like I said, today I have no interest in them. But still, you know, a great band, of course. Heart. Now for I don't have, it's the one letter where I don't have a, you know, either a solo artist or a band under I. Although I did have Iron Butterfly. I had the box set of all their early albums, which I kind of regret selling, but I'm, you know, not going to buy it again or anything. But I really did enjoy their music, but I never played it enough to warrant keeping that particular box set. But still, Iron Butterfly is great. So yeah, only one band for I. And I, like I said, I don't have them in my collection. Nothing under I. So J, Jefferson Airplane. No, not Jefferson Starship. Jefferson Airplane. I love all of their early albums. And a band I used to have in my collection, Jethro Tull. I do like them, but just not... I've just learned, you know, through the years when I do buy a certain album, you know, by a band like Jethro Tull, and I do like it, but I end up not playing it very much. So I think I'm totally done with Jethro Tull. But still a great band. For K, The Kinks. And a band I've never ever had in my CD collection, but I think, you know, I've heard some of their songs and albums, and I think I would really like having them in my collection. And the band is Killing Joke. For L, Led Zeppelin. And for a band under L that I've never had in my collection, but I've heard, you know, what I've heard I really do like. I'm going to go with the Lemon Twigs. For M, the Moody Blues. I love all of their early albums. And for a band I've never had in my collection, but I've done a reaction to some of their songs on Patreon, and I really do like them, but I don't think I would ever, you know, rush out to buy any of their albums. But still, I enjoy when I do hear them. The band is Muse. N. Let's go with Nectar. One of my favorite, well, you know, I've known about them for years, but I'm really getting into them now. If you love prog rock, I highly recommend you check out Nectar. And for a band under N that I did have in my collection at one point, and I think they're, you know, an underrated band, I will go with Nazareth. Good band. Now, I was struggling for O until I thought of, as a solo artist, Yoko Ono. And yes, I do like Yoko Ono's music, most of it. A lot of it is song-based. Her double album, Approximately Infinite Universe, is just great songs. So, but I know it's not for everybody. And for O, for someone that's not in my collection and never has been, but still a great artist, is Roy Orbison. For P, Pink Floyd. And for a artist under P that I've never had, but I'm interested, is the band Primus. Because I have the two Les Claypool, Sean Lennon albums that they did. The Claypool, Lennon, Delirium, and they're excellent. So I think I really would like, I've heard a little bit of Primus, but I would be interested in more of their albums. For Q, Queen. And for Q that I don't have in my collection, but I think it was for a CD exchange and I had to listen to the album online, and I liked it. It was very good. Queens of the Stone Age. For R, The Rascals. And for a band that's not in my collection, but was in the past, and I do like them, REM. My favorite album of theirs is Automatic for the People, which I would like to get, again, on CD at some point. For S, Sparks. And for a band, some Canadian content. This is a band I've never, ever bought, but I like a lot of their music. I've seen, a lot of their music videos, and they've been going strong for years and years and years, and they've got, a pretty good cult following, I would say, is the Canadian band Sloan. I like them. For T, Talking Heads. And for a band, once again, a Canadian band I have had in the past, but not at the moment, but still a great Canadian band, the Tragically Hip. For U, I've only got one band under U, and that is the Undertones. Love the Undertones. And a band, they were probably after the Beatles and Sparks, my favorite band for many, many, many years. U2, but I'm done with U2. But still, I love a lot of their early music. For V, Velvet Underground. And for a band that I don't have that's under V, Van Halen, although I did buy their debut album when it came out. And that's a great, of course, debut album. But overall, I'm not into Van Halen. For W, I was going to pick The Who, and then I realized, no, I've got to pick Ween. And for a band under W that I've never had in my collection, but I'd be interested, possibly, is Wishbone Ash. For X, this is kind of cheating a bit because they don't have any band under X, but it's still the very same band, and they're under D as the Dukes of Stratosphere, which is XTC. And for a band, just plain old X from Los Angeles. I've never had any of their albums. I do know a couple of their songs like Los Angeles, but other than that, not really that familiar with them. Two more to go. For Y, Yes. And for a band that I did have at some point on vinyl, the Yardbirds. Yeah, Roger the Engineer, I've heard that album. I actually didn't really care for it. Maybe I need to listen to it more. And Little Games I had on vinyl back at some point in the 70s. And the final one for Z or Z, Frank Zappa. And for a band that I did have in my collection for many years, but not anymore, a very good band, ZZ Top. And that is it. Wasn't that fun? Just say yes. No, but I am looking forward to hopefully some Some of you, I know it's a lot to write, but, let me know a band. You don't have to do the whole alphabet, but a band like, that you have, and then a band that you've either never heard or used to have in your CD collection. Watch me get 3 comments. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Happy New Year. Goodbye.